Almost every woman I know is trying to look young. The society is obsessed with anti-aging, and the skincare and cosmetic industry is making a fortune out of women's insecurities of growing physically older in age. I don't know if you can relate to me, but sometimes I have been holding certain beliefs about myself, especially what I want and how I want to be, only because that's what everybody else is pursuing and what everybody else thinks is the best. Until one day I questioned myself. So why am I so scared of getting older again? Like, what is so wrong about it? And is that something I can even control or fix by doing some cosmetic procedure or using certain products? And if I have a choice of never aging, do I even want that? Maybe I do want that. Keep watching to the end to find out. I have been very on point guarding my skin health pretty much my whole life because I was praised of having really good skin and looking very young. I always considered this as an important asset that I cannot lose because this is literally the only compliment I always get wherever I go. And to be honest, it is an asset. For the majority of the time, I enjoy looking young. I didn't care or let other people's assumptions about me because of my appearance bother me overall. But it doesn't matter how well you age. God did not design us to never age, and nobody can overpower God's design. So let's be real here, we're all aging from the day we were born. It is time to accept that this is the fate of a human being. If you're not a human being, of course, this does not apply to you, so feel free to skip this video altogether. I still remember the time when I was heavily influenced by people online and was super religious about my extensive skincare routine around my mid-20s. I love my skincare routine now. It's a lot simpler and works very well with my low maintenance lifestyle. Even though I'm older, my skin now looks just as healthy as the time when I was using a lot more products with various actives in it. If you subscribe to me, maybe I will consider sharing my skincare routine one day. Just saying. Around the same time, just a few years ago, there was also this blooming red pill community content being suggested to me all the time, which when I think back now, it feels like comedy to me. Those guys were so funny. I didn't realize the whole red pill community is a joke until looking back at that content now. Maybe it was just a joke, maybe I took it too seriously. Back to the story, I was listening to those toxic red pill men saying how women's life basically ends at 30s because of aging, and your value at the dating market is basically wiped clean after you pass 30. Look at her, single mom? Today we're analyzing this girl who wasted her 20s building a career, and now she's crying because she cannot find a man because man doesn't care about your intelligence, ha 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 ha. It's like comedy but in a sarcastic way once you're able to step back and see it for what it is. These people were spreading fear among women and encouraging them to essentially freeze and stop aging because that biological clock is ticking. But this is not something we can control. Honestly, tell me, what do you expect me to do? Are you saying that you want me to just randomly grab someone on the street and get married to them because the clock is ticking? That's crazy. I can assure you, if you put yourself in a woman's shoe, you will never even consider this as an option. How is this belief and message helping anybody? I don't understand the intention behind it. Of course, it was all just a trend. Now I don't really hear from them anymore, but as somebody who is in her late 20s already, and as somebody who has done a lot of mental, developmental work herself, I still found myself at times bothered by this idea of aging, feeling very behind in life as a woman who has not got engaged or getting married and starting a family anytime soon as I'm reaching the end of my 20s. This could also be because I still have this Christian ideology of a woman's life, as I was once very engaged with the Christian community and surrounded by people who had similar ideology. And I'm not anti that, I'm very supportive of that. I think it is great to have a family early if that's the path God set out for you, but for those of you who doesn't have a life path according to the fairy tale ideology, you're not the unlucky one. You don't need to force it to happen. There is so much grace and mystery in the path God has paved for your future. We're all here with different faiths, different gifts, and different reasons for existing. There is so much more about you than a fairy tale ideology of what a woman should be and how a woman should live her life. I remember the time when I discovered my first strand of white hair, and I strip it off immediately due to the shame I carried around aging along not having my life figured out at a time that I thought should be figured out by. I'm at this point where I'm tired of being afraid of aging and growing older. I don't want to be this person who is doing anything unnatural to myself, using resources that are costing my health and well-being to avoid or reverse physical aging because number one, I choose not to live in fear. Number two, aging is actually beautiful if you choose to see the beauty of it. When I look at myself in the mirror now, I cannot stop but notice the difference between how I look like in my early 20s versus how I look now. For example, I used to have more volume in my face, under eyes. Actually, I was always told that I had a mochi face. Number one, because I really like mochi, as you may have already known. Number two, I had a very voluminous face, especially when I put a few more pounds on. Now my face has slimmed down a bit and I have lost some volume in my cheek, under eye area. Of course, these are the differences only I can tell because they are so subtle. But whenever I imagine how I looked like before, I realized I was not looking at myself as an appearance. I was remembering how I was as a person in a whole package. I remembered how naive I was, how I was struggling with low self-esteem, and how I was thinking and what I was doing. I have immense compassion over myself every time when I look at my younger self. And when I switch back to looking at myself now and see how much I have gone through in my journey with myself and to get to where I am today or how I am today as a person with this face, no joke, I easily can be filled with tears of just admiring how beautiful and wonderful this whole journey of growing older. And I suppose as I keep growing older, I will have other moments of the future me remembering the me now and how I look now and be filled with tears of graciousness and thanksgiving to God. Whilst I'm here talking to you about why I don't dream of looking young forever, I do want to mention an element of ageism in the society that can happen to both looking too young and too old. Basically, I want to show you this perspective that looking young has disadvantages too, especially at workplace. I have had experience where I was supposed to do a handover training for someone to replace me because I was leaving the company. This is a much senior person and of course older as well. As she saw me, I could immediately sense this energy of, I don't need this girl to tell me anything. I know better, that kind of vibe just through her facial expression and her reluctant demeanor to engage with me. But the matter of the truth is the information I needed to pass on to her is important if she wants to take over and I'm just there to do my job. Another thing about looking young is people don't tend to take you very seriously, especially in the psychology, therapy, coaching industry. This is me just being completely transparent with you that it actually takes me a lot more effort to get a coaching client, and one of the main reasons is because I don't look like a wise old man or woman. I could be wrong, but I know a lot of people have this image in their head when they're looking for a coach. But the biggest misconception about coaching is that real effective coaching is not about giving people advice simply because you are more experienced. It is about how well you can use coaching skills to help the client achieve what they want. Notice that it is not about me at all, it is about the other person. But that's people's assumptions that they need to work on themselves. I don't really care. I like the way I look. I never thought I would say that in a million years, but I want to like it even more as I learn to love myself more in the future. Now, let's come back to this question again. If I had a choice of never aging again, would I want that? The answer is yes. If God has given me a choice to stop my biological clock now and not age any further naturally, then yes, I would take that, thank you very much. But the reality is God hasn't really given us that choice in the world that we live in yet. So in reality, we are aging regardless. It doesn't matter how much cream you put on your face, doesn't matter how much makeup you put on to hide it, doesn't matter how much cosmetic procedure you do to prevent it. Eventually, nobody can outrun nature and become immortal. And I don't think I want to be immortal because being a human being living in this world is hard stuff. We can all agree it is not easy and we wouldn't appreciate anything if this is forever. Being put into this temporary mortal world where everybody is going through aging and different life stages, do I wish or dream that God could stop aging of humanity after certain years? In this particular circumstance, in this setting, do I wish that I could look young forever? The answer is no. I wouldn't question God's design, and I wouldn't want it any other way other than what God intended me to be naturally. Because nature is the best and has the most amazing design ever. With that being said, just because I don't dream of looking young forever doesn't mean that I don't want to preserve that spirit of youth inside me and continue to look after my health and well-being as I grow older. But that will be another video for another time. Thank you so much for listening to me till the end, and I shall see you all in the next video.